First up is serial entrepreneur, serial side hustler Jen Glantz. One of her first businesses, renting herself out as a bridesmaid.
It's me, Jen Glantz, and I am the founder of Bridesmaid for Hire. You can check it out at bridesmaidforhire.com. I got the idea because when I was in my early 20s, all of my friends got engaged and I was always the bridesmaid. And then distant friends started asking me to be a bridesmaid, and that's when my roommate at the time nicknamed me the professional bridesmaid. That's when I had this light bulb moment where I thought, if I could do this for friends and distant friends, perhaps I could do this for strangers. Well, I decided to give it a try, and I posted an ad on Craigslist.com and received hundreds of emails from people who wanted to hire me. After I got those emails, I built a website, planned out services, and booked my first client. That was all in 2014, and fast forward 7 years later, I have worked with hundreds of people all over the world, and I've also hired people to work for my business. We have had over 100,000 people apply to work for Bridesmaid for Hire, and since I can't hire them all, I created an online training program to teach them exactly how to do this business on their own.
In an interview with Business Insider, Jen said her packages started at $2,000 with extra add-ons for travel, rehearsal dinners, speech writing, and additional services. She said, when people hire me, they feel like they're hiring a friend they can reach out to at any time. Creative side hustle number 2 is hosting luxury picnics. Austin Chen and his cousin Myri Chen started a luxury picnic business in early 2021. They booked $30,000 in revenue in their first couple months, of which they reported it to CNBC. 80% is profit. You can find them at ocluxurypicnics.com, OC for Orange County. So Austin describes putting up this website almost for fun. Like, I wanted to practice web design, but to his surprise, he found himself getting inquiries immediately. Like, this business doesn't even exist yet. And here within a couple days, people are saying, yeah, can you host a picnic for us? That's when he and Myri decided to give it a shot. Today, pricing starts at $240, which includes setup and takedown of your picnic, an assortment of picnic beverages and snacks like charcuterie platter type of thing. Specialty items like extra food and extra picnic attendees are available for extra charges. Now, if you're in a state with good weather, I mean, this could be seasonal anywhere, but if you're in a state with good weather, this is a legitimate low cost, low startup cost, high margin business that might be worth a look. Next up, a really creative side hustle from one of our younger listeners.
My name is Andrew Puglisi. I'm 16 years old and I live in Bradenton, Florida. My business is Bugs Rule. I own tarantulas, scorpions, a ball python named Monty, and many more. Over the last couple of years, I've been developing a website and a blog to teach people the vast majority aren't as dangerous as people think they are. And I love helping people get over their fears. Last year, we went out to Clearwater and I brought my tarantula and I had it on my shirt, well, one of my tarantulas. And a lot of people thought that was really cool and they thought it was awesome, and a lot of others are scared of it. Many people wanted to hold the tarantula. I was kind of hesitant at first, but I let a bunch of people hold the tarantula and everything went great. So we went out a couple days later and we did the same thing and we got even more response, and we brought a tip cup. So people started giving me tips, which was surprising to me at first. And then we realized that this could turn into a business and I could help people get over their fears and make money at the same time. So we would go out to Clearwater or to John's Pass and Siesta Key, and we'd go bring a tip cup, a tarantula, and a scorpion, and I'd sit somewhere and people would walk by, see the tarantula, hold it, and sometimes give me a tip. Some days I made $250 from tips alone in a few hours, which really helped with the business.
How cool is that? Up to $250 in a day, just in tips. That is incredible, Andrew. Thank you so much for sharing. As you may know, one side hustle business model that I've been excited about lately is one we've called unconventional rentals. On the show, we've heard from people renting out inflatables, portable hot tubs, mobile homes, semi-trucks and trailers, camper vans, and photo booths just last week, right? I came across another interesting unconventional rental side hustle, this time in the moving boxes niche. And To me, this makes sense. Perfect example of a product that you need just for a very brief period of time, and then you're done with them. So we just moved. So this is fresh in my mind. I was lucky enough to find some cardboard boxes for free on Facebook Marketplace and got rid of them in the same way. But for local moves, could there be a business around renting out some higher quality boxes? That's exactly what Gary Gruhl at calboxrental.com does. That's creative side hustle number 4, renting out moving boxes. He said he was inspired and really dismayed by the piles of cardboard boxes by the dumpsters after move-in day at his college at UCLA. He found that other moving box rental companies existed mostly in Canada, but couldn't find anybody doing this in his hometown then of Sacramento. So Gary said he started this business for around $2,500 worth of inventory, dozens of these durable, hard-sided plastic storage bins that can be rented out over and over again for years before they start to wear out or break. He told budgetsaresexy.com, as far as rental rates go, we don't rent per box, but rather we rent bundles, catering to how big the client's job is. The most popular package we rent is our house bundle, which is 50 boxes, a few rolling dollies, a wardrobe box, etc., and that rents for $199 per week. When the boxes aren't in use, we store them in a storage unit at the self-storage facility. We're still pretty small, and my business partner owns a moving company, so it made sense to save money and store them there rather than rent a warehouse. I think this is a cool idea that reduces waste, and I like Gary's strategy of partnering with an existing service provider. That way, it can almost be a white label add-on service for the moving company, as opposed to him trying to go out and find new clients all the time. I've got a full list of other unconventional things you can rent out for a profit. Just hit up the show notes for this episode at sidehustlenation.com/472. Find that opt-in box and punch in your email there. Now, as cool as Gary's business is, he still had to buy his initial stock of boxes. What if he could sell something that you just got for free? That's what these next few creative side hustles have in common.
My name is Thomas Wilkins, and my company is Southern Drift. You can find me on Instagram at Southern_Drift and through Facebook at Driftwood Decor and Creations is my primary. How I got started selling driftwood is I just started kayaking around the lakes, finding a piece here, a piece there. And then I met my now wife and mother-in-law, and they seen some of the pieces that I was finding, and they were like, you really need to try to start selling some of this stuff. It's incredible. So I made a couple posts on Marketplace and sold a couple pieces, made $20, $30 a month to making $4,000 and $5,000 a month. I'd sell to one or two customers here and there, and then I started selling to interior designers, craft stores, aquatic stores. My first big aquatic store was Southern Aquatics in Roswell, Georgia. They were the real pillar in my success starting out. They were the first ones to give me a shot starting out and just give me that confidence that I needed to go out to these big retail stores and just try and see if I can get in their store. It went from there. Like I started selling them 5 or 10 pieces a month to 50 to 100 pieces a month. I now sell to 15 to 20 aquatic stores and 10 taxidermy guys. My current sales so far is about 50 to 60,000 this year.
That is awesome, Thomas. Thank you so much for tuning in and way to take action. In a previous edition of this series, we highlighted an entrepreneur from, I want to say, Utah, who was selling tumbleweeds and even had some high-profile Hollywood customers who needed them as props. But it was a product that was abundantly available for free locally that he could turn around and sell to a buyer who just didn't happen to have them nearby. Free inventory definitely gets my wheels spinning. Driftwood, who knew? Creative side hustle number 6 is another example of creating something out of nothing, and one that you might be able to replicate in your own niche or your own local area. In June, Maddie Wang started Founders Cafe at founderscafe.io, a virtual co-working space that recently passed $4,000 a month in recurring revenue. In her case, she specifically targets startup founders, and for $50 a month paid annually, she gets that commitment up front. She provides a daily Zoom session where members can hang out, chat, discuss problems, challenges, wins, and just otherwise kind of combat the entrepreneurial loneliness that is pretty real a lot of the time. On Indie Hackers, she described her initial customers came from just interviewing fellow founders. Now, a common thread that she found was that they were often lonely and felt isolated. They just wanted to be around other like-minded, high-quality people to hang out with who understood what they were going through. So in a very Dane Maxwell start from zero sort of way. She built and sold a solution to that pain, and it was a very low overhead thing to get off the ground. So hat tip to Niall Doherty from eBiz Facts for pointing me to Maddie's story. His commentary was that it's a business that someone with above average social skills could probably emulate and replicate pretty quickly. You could focus on your local area, like online co-working Chicago, certain demographics like online co-working for women over 40, or a shared focus like online co-working for freelance writers, or some combination. So thanks, Niall, for pointing me her way and that little bit of analysis as well. In June, Italian artist Salvatore Garau sold one of his works for $18,300. For any artist, that's a nice sale. But what made Salvatore's sale interesting is that the Io Sono sculpture, Italian for I am, was invisible. And that makes number 7 on this list, the invisible statue, the invisible sculpture. While the artist preferred the term immaterial to the word invisible, the work was a 5-foot by 5-foot empty square. The Art-Right auction house in Milan handled the sale, which apparently received multiple bids. And according to Yahoo News, the name of the buyer had not been publicly released, but was, quote, thought to be an art collector from Milan, end quote. Now, on the surface, it sounds pretty crazy, right? Who's going to spend 18 grand on nothing? But is it really that much different from the NFT craze we've seen this year? I think Salvatore definitely wins points for his creativity and maybe even audacity here, who to his credit has maintained a straight face through all the jokes, all the press. But the takeaway for me, whether for physical art, even the invisible kind, or the digital NFT variety, there's a pride of ownership in collecting original works. Do baseball cards or Bitcoin or Beanie Babies or even dollars for that matter, do they have any inherent value? Like any collectible asset, they're really only worth what you can get for it, what you can trade it for, what the market thinks it's worth. So if you're a creator, I think it's time to study up on who's buying NFTs and maybe how you can tap into that collector piece of human psychology. Creative side hustle number 8 on this list, the sleep consultant for grownups.
Hey, this is Riley with Sleep for Side Hustlers and the Sleep Consultant. Instead of making it to a broad mass market, I saw the importance in being able to specialize within one thing, because if people can see you as a specialist, then they're going to see you as the go-to guy for their problem that they're experiencing, especially in a market that can be really saturated.
How did you end up connecting with those executive clients?
Many different ways. I actually reached out through LinkedIn. That's sort of where it all started. But one thing I realized with these executive clients is they have massive networks already. And if you do a good job and you become part of their network, word of mouth just spreads. And they were giving me referrals, and then their friends were giving them referrals.
What was the cold outreach like?
I came from the angle of, hey, can I just offer you free sleep advice? Can I provide you with a free sleep assessment? And this is where everything really starts to drastically change for me. And they would tell me, wow, it's such a breath of fresh air. I've never experienced this before. But I would say for anybody who's looking to cold outreach out to people, one really good way to do it is to not just pitch them on a product, really get to understand them as a person. You can send audio messages, you can send video messages, experiment, because every niche is completely different.
Because you went really high ticket with your pricing for this one-on-one type of service.
I range my price range for the one-on-one. It ranges from 7.5 all the way up until 20K. But these are people that are willing to pay that price. Just because I've worked up to it, I've made a name for myself. I've been very fortunate to do that. And that's also because it's a market I've tapped into who has the resources to do that, and it's specialized within that. I would say on a one-on-one basis, we're probably getting around 4 to 5 clients.
4 to 5 per month?
Yeah, about 4 or 5 per month.
I think the highly targeted, high-ticket consulting approach is really interesting, especially because a lot of guests try to go the other direction. They say, I want to go from a service business to a product business. I'm looking for a little more time leverage. But one way to leverage your time is to simply go up market like Riley has, targeting high income, high net worth, high impact clients. And the other interesting thing is here, like you said, you almost just need a little foot in the door, because once you do a great job for a small handful of clients and you prove yourself, now all of a sudden you have trusted access to their whole network. And that's a great position to find yourself in. Creative side hustle number 9 comes from a longtime listener of the show, and he's putting up some big numbers with his latest project.
Hi, Nick. This is Ben from Crateworks Rustic Bars on Facebook and craftsmanforcash.com. What started out as a side hustle was building rustic kind of tiki bars from wooden shipping pallets. The idea came from my best friend's wedding a few years ago when he built one of these things out of some free pallets, and I thought it was really cool. Thought more people might want that, so I got some free pallets from Home Depot, put one together and listed it for rent on Facebook Marketplace. I rented it out once and then ended up selling it. I rented it for $120 and then sold it for $250. And I thought the sales are better. It's just more of a one-off. So I started doing more of this kind of part-time for about a year out of the pallets and slowly raised my prices up to about $400 or $500. And then I realized it was easier to make them nicer if I just started buying the wood. I could charge a little bit more. And in my best week, I did about $8,500 in sales and about $5,000 in profit.
That is so cool, Ben. Thank you for sharing. Now, to bring this year's list home is another member of the Side Hustle Nation community with a really creative and super niche online business.
I'm Nikki Hess, and I run CatLadyAcademy.com. I provide personal coaching and online courses and resources to people who want to create or improve their cat's Instagram account. I was inspired to start this business by my own cat, Manny Halloween Cat, on Instagram. He currently has 48,000 followers. People were always asking me how I did it, so I created Cat Lady Academy to teach them how. At Cat Lady Academy, I teach people how to improve their Instagram content, gain followers organically, secure brand sponsorships, how to make running a cat Instagram account less stressful and less time-consuming, and how to overcome the blocks and issues in their lives, like imposter syndrome and perfectionism, that are preventing them from truly showing up on Instagram. Cat Lady Academy is only about a year old. At first, I gave away coaching sessions in order to get people to try them so they could really understand the value of my services. Because my costs to start Cat Lady Academy were so low, around $200, I was profitable by December 2020. However, my prices in the beginning were too low, and I realized I was undervaluing myself. So in early 2021, I raised my prices a little. This didn't scare anyone away, and in fact, much of my business is repeat customers. In just 13 months of business, I've made over $5,000 through Cat Lady Academy. That's more than I expected for my first year running such a niche business.
Yes, you heard that right. $5,000 helping people become cat influencers. There's a niche for everything. Nikki, thank you so much for sharing, and I'm excited to see where this business takes you in the next year and beyond. Once again, you're going to find the full text summary for this episode at sidehustlenation.com/472. Big thanks to all our contributors this week for letting me share their stories. That is it for me. Thank you so much for tuning in. Until next time, let's go out there and make something happen, and I'll catch you in the next edition of the Side Hustle Show. Hustle on.